name is Brianna Denise Jackson Cartwright, aka Jack Davey, one half of J Davey. So my name is Brianna Denise. I have 4 names. My parents couldn't figure out which last name they wanted to use, so they just kept both of them and hyphenated my last names, which is always a pain in the ass when I have to do my taxes. Every year my e-file gets rejected because they have like 3 different versions of my name on file. It's really a pain in the ass. So that aside, my first name, Brianna, which my parents didn't even name me. They were fighting in the hospital over a name. My dad wanted to name me Ramona, which is the weakest. And my mom just had no clue. So the lady that gave birth in the bed next to my mom already had 5 boys and thought she was having a girl, but then had a 6th boy. And so she was like, why don't you guys just take the name I was gonna name my daughter, and it was Brianna. My parents had never heard anyone with that name before, so they went with that. And then my middle name is Denise. I was named after my dad's first cousin who committed suicide like a year to the day that I was born. So that was like in tribute of her. When I decided to do music full time, and Brooke and I were kind of playing with the idea of a name for our group. Well, I knew that for a stage name, I wanted a stage name that it was beyond, you know, something androgynous. I wanted something that was just an everyday common name, where it was almost like not a name. It didn't matter what it meant, or it was just a term almost. And Jack is kind of like the most faceless name. It's kind of like, you know, so common that even if your name isn't Jack, people will call you Jack. You know, what's up, Jack? Hey, Jack. You know. So, and also I wanted to play with the idea of like, I wanted the name to be a conversation piece. So I wanted people to, you know, ask me what my name was, and when I told them, I wanted them to be confused, just to kind of challenge, like, you know, gender roles. Because, you know, I tell someone my name is Jack Davey, and then the first thing they say is Jackie. Jack, is that short for Jacqueline? Why does it have to be short for Jacqueline or Jackie? Why can't it just be Jack? And so I was like, yeah, I wanted a name like that, Joe or Jack, and Jack sounds way cooler than Joe. The Davey part was more of, okay, so once I knew that I wanted to go with something like Jack, so on a whole other note, Brooke was working in retail at the time, and he had this client, this transgender client, and the name was J Davey. No, J Dana or something. I can't remember. Yeah, it was J Dana. And then we just kind of flipped it, because I was like, well, I want to go by Jack, and then we just kind of flipped that whole thing, because it transgender and the androgyny of the name, I don't know, we were just kind of running real far with that one. Well, I know just from like being in the industry and just observing, you know, you come out as an artist and then people start to blur the lines between your art and your life, you know, and people perceive who you are as an artist as who you are at home. And for me, I didn't want to come out and go by my real name and then not have, you know, that other life. You know, I didn't want people to feel like they knew Brianna or Bri in the public and the private sphere. So I had to find some way to separate those 2 things. And so having a stage name for me is my way of, I can hide and completely, I can show you as much of my life as that character will allow, you know. So like perfect example, back to my dating life, which is like so exciting. Kidding. But you know, like I went on a date with a guy, and if you think you know who Jack Davey is, then you know she's this wild child. You know, she parties, and she's, you know, kind of a, what would be the female version of a womanizer? I don't know, but like, you know, she's just, you know, kind of wild. And then, you know, I'll go to dinner with someone and they're like, you know, let's get some tequila, and I'm like, what? I just want a nice white wine, you know. And they look at me, they're like, Jack Davey drinks white wine, you know. It's things that like people think they know because that's what I've allowed them to see. So for me, it's like a safety, you know. I can go home and I can completely take Jack Davey off and like hang her in a closet, and then now there's this whole side that's just for me and for the people that like really know and love me. Well, yeah, being a mom, then that comes with that having to name someone else, and then it comes with like your name changes again, right? So now my name is Mama exclusively. Even though he'll hear people call me by my name, and then like, cause he's learning to write his name, so that's the big milestone right now for him. And then he'll tell me, Mommy's name starts with a B, so he knows that. But when I ask him what my name is, he's like, it's Mama. So he knows that it's a B, but he doesn't know why, I guess. For me and my son's father, we wanted something that spoke to our journey as a unit. So for us, this sounds really horrible, but for us, that had something to do with psychedelia, because that was the thing that brought us together as a unit. So, you know, the word tripper was always kind of like in our world. It was the name of the clothing line that I started. It was an alias that my son's father would use, and it was just kind of like always floating around. And so that's what we were, just like tripper, like that's it, that is the name, you know, and it's unique and nobody's gonna have it. And then when you're choosing a name for your child, it's not just you two, it's your mother and your father. The grandparents always have a say, always. And our parents just hated it so much, and they were like, you're setting this kid's life up for failure. And you don't really think about it. When you're an artist, you don't really think about like that other side where your name is judged automatically without people even meeting you. Just from them reading it on a piece of paper, it can be judged. And I'm not saying that's right, it just is what it is. And that's the type of shit you don't even think about, you know, when you're naming your kid Ribbon and, you know, fucking Perseverance and shit like that. Like, you know, which is dope in theory, but like when they're like 40, you know, Mr. Perseverance is gonna have a hard time. Might have a hard time transcending his name, you know, like all throughout my life, like tons and tons of like just random nicknames.
Are you cool with nicknames? Are you cool when people like?
Yeah, they're funny. My parents have like some ones where I'm just like, I don't understand. But then I look at like, I remember before I had my son, I had a dog, and the dog, I mean, every day just had a new nickname, you know, because it was just like so endearing. It's like endearing. I look at you and I love you so much that like you're just my little whatever, Bushka, whatever, you know. So I think, yeah, I love the nicknames because it's endearing and it's hilarious, you know, what you look at someone and what pops in your mind, you just have to call them that. I think that's hilarious. And I think it's funny too, like me, I'll walk down the street and I'll see someone and I'll make up a name for them by some like characteristic that has nothing to do with like who they are as a person. Like, yo, red backpack, you know, like army green fatigue pants, you know, like anything. It's just like hilarious. Anything can be a name.